Well, it looks like we are live here on Tuesday at 7, and we are back with Andy Denney. How many years ago was it that we connected? Is it 3 years ago?
It'll be 3 years, I think, in May.
May. It was 3 years ago.
I had just arrived home. We met through the drawing.
To the drawing group, and you were drawing, and I am a big fan of your style, and so we were talking mostly about your two-dimensional work, and
that's right.
Today we're going to be talking about clay. And actually, I put a little title on here, which we could always change, but I just put "Clay is the Way," and we're going to be talking about that.
Well, let's talk about it.
Yeah. Well, as we're allowing folks to join on, if you were with us last week, we were over in Avon. We were with Judy, and we were at Creative Space Avon, and we had a chance to talk with 3 of the winning artists, as well as there's an artist there that was doing kind of sound bathing, and that was really interesting. We're going to meet back up with her at some point too, because the sound wasn't working well. But if you shared that video last week, your name is in this hat, and Andy gets to draw the winner of, this is actually a winner of the glass piece that Judy donated. So whatever.
Well, thank you, Judy. And we were sharing a story of the rock and roll show she did. And Roger and I, that's when our collaboration, that opening was the beginning of our collaborative discussions.
Yeah.
So let's see who wins the Judy glass piece.
Thank you for putting together the...
I don't know Italian, but it's Tony Bianco.
Tony Bianco. Tony won like about a handful of weeks ago, but he just keeps on sharing. So thank you, Tony. We'll make sure that we get this piece over to you. And thank you, Judy, for opening your studio and for the artists who display such great work.
Putting Roger and I together.
Yeah,
rock
that
and roll
too.
Show.
We're going to be talking about clay.
You want to start?
Yeah.
All right.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to come around the camera, and I'm going to take some first person so we can get in. But I understand that you've been working with clay for a few years.
Professionally, since 1997.
Almost 30 years.
Yeah, but I quit. I didn't quit. I just stopped in January of 19. It's a long story. And I just stopped. And now I've returned. And I couldn't be happier that I stopped, because I'm now curious again. I have joy in it again.
Yeah.
And it wasn't in the time that I just wasn't a joyful person.
Yeah.
And so I had to get joyful again to be back. So I'm glad to be. About 3 years clay free, and now almost 2 years back. It's so good to be back.
Yeah. And we met here Tuesday 7 during that pause.
Yes.
When you were doing a lot of two-dimensional work, and you were doing oil, pastels, and painting. And but we are glad you're back, because during our friendship time, I noticed a difference with you when your hands are in clay as well. It almost feels like, that's a divine purpose of yours, is to throw clay.
I think you're right. I think if you when I look at my stuff, when I look at the drawings and I look at the clay, I go, that's 2 different people. And I think it is. And so it satisfies the angel and the devil, for lack of a better metaphor. And and my master teacher, Marvin Sweet, said, stop drawing, unless you're going to put them on the pots. I stopped drawing because he's my master. But then when I returned, it was lovely. But rarely do they meet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they satisfy 2 different aspects of the same circle.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of folks joining on. We appreciate you joining us today. We are with Andy Denney. We're going to be talking clay. We're going to be talking about your education, maybe some sage advice that you were given and like to pass on to other artists. But tell us a little bit about your formal training, because a lot of that was done overseas, right?
Correct. I studied under my master teacher, Marvin Sweet, at Bradford College, got a BA in ceramics, a minor in painting and drawing. He sent me to study under his teacher, Richard Hirsch, one of the most foremost contemporary ceramics in the world, and foremost in Raku. When Marvin was a student, Rick Hirsch was his teacher. He literally trained me to study under his teacher. Now, when Marvin student under Rick, a man in Japan named Toshio Ohi of the Ohi family, who has made raku, tea ceremony utensils in Kanazawa since 1666, with direct lineage to the first raku family. Raku, let me tell you something, people. Raku is a Japanese family. They live to this day, 15 generations. Only Raku family, in my view, makes raku. The only reason they called it raku here, I'm not sure why. One who invented it, Paul Soldner, when he was in a workshop in Japan with Rick Hirsch, he wrote ukar on a slide backwards and put it in the projector in front of the royal family, because Raku family was there saying, you Americans don't make raku. And he's right. It's something else. We want to call it raku, so what? Okay. But to me, it's American raku. It's an attitude. And then I was in graduate school. There was a big NIMSICA conference, National Conference on Education of Ceramic Arts. I was a graduate student. I was a graduate assistant. Rick calls me in the office. There's Marvin. There's Toshio. Toshio says, Andy-san, you will come to Japan. You were Marvin's student. You were Rick's student. You now are mine. And I spent 6 months in Kanazawa studying with the Ohi Chozaemon family, 4th generation direct descendants of Raku. And the Shogun clan, the Magda clan, they built a castle called Kenrokian Castle. They called up Raku number 4. Send me your best apprentice. They sent him Chozaemon. He arrived in Kanazawa. He became Ohi Chozaemon. My sensei Toshi is 11th generation Chozaemon. All the way back to Raku. Long, complicated.
And what you learned was not only clay and firing and utility, I would imagine, but also I'm guessing much more than that, right?
I learned that I'm American.
Okay.
And
tell us about that.
Well, when I went to Rick Hirsch, my thesis was my work. It was inspired by 2 main sources. John Coltrane, specifically the suite I Love Supreme. All my work was pursuance, acknowledgement, psalm, and what's the 4th movement? Anyway, and so I took that, and I saw Elvin Jones, McCoy Tyner, all the musicians, important musicians who played with them, so it was personalized. And that suite, my own, since I was a young child, I've always loved pastors and being near the word. Doesn't matter which word, Hindu word, Muslim word, just the word. God, it's fascinating. Still does. And so I had that, but I had never been through a garden. So I was talking about all this tea ceremony that influenced the wabi-sabi shibui. So Andy, you've never been there. You have no authority. You have no real experience. You've never walked a rojo. You've never been served tea in a tea house. So I had to go. And that's so that was part of it, to give me authentic, make me authentic in this attitude that I admired and long to practice these principles. You can call them Asian, but they're not. They're just broadly spiritual principles, just good ethics.
Yeah.
And so that's what I learned, is that I'm American. And that was so important, the most important lesson. Because I can take this, I am who I am. So I have to, if I went to Japan and tried to be just Japanese, they'd be insulted.
Right.
And I'd humiliate myself.
Yeah.
Why would I want to be Japanese when I'm American? They wanted me to be American. I guess one story was, we were listening to baseball, and I could hear, it's all in Japanese, I don't know, and it's a very exciting, tense moment. You hear the announcement, crack, loud, we were glazing. I just stood up and said, home run, as they all, home run. It was just luck. But in that moment, culture didn't matter, Zen didn't matter, American, Japanese, we all love baseball.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
Yeah.
Less talking, more making.
That is a great story. And then we're going to jump in, but I'm going. I don't want to go too far right now, but I do want to circle back a little bit later, because you have a next generation that also studied in Japan.
Yes, my daughter.
Your daughter, and I want to go.
Just returned,
and she just returned right after spending how many months in Japan?
6 months.
6 months in Japan, right? I mean, so you
scholarship. She walked the same Rosanji and Kinkakuji. the same gardens I walked with when I was her age.
And I want to return to that.
And now it's full circle.
Yeah, yeah.
She speaks, comprehends, and writes in Japanese, Korean, and Spanish. She is studying international language, entering her senior year.
Well, congratulations on it. That's a proud dad moment.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got a whole bunch of people joining. Thank you, guys. We just see a bunch of people here. See Riley, Diane, Kurt, Gappy. Everybody's joining us. Thank you for watching. But before we go too far, if you share this video, right, there's going to be an opportunity to win something, right? And this is going to be. You want to show us what you're going to win?
You can win a piece of crockery.
Some crockery.
Some crockery. No, I'm teasing. This I made at Valley. It is a full functional bowl. You can microwave, dishwasher safe. These are my fingerprints because I hold it upside down, dip it in the bucket of glaze. The glaze naturally drips. It's just a nice vessel. Why I like the vessel, it's two metaphors simultaneously. It nourishes your spirit and offers generously your spirit to others.
Thank you for the generous offering of that vessel.
And also, these come in handy. A prayer stone, they're about in celebration of my mother. You rub it, you carry it in your pocket to alleviate anxiety. When you are in the presence of someone who makes you feel like you have lost a quart of plasma, just rub this stone. It'll help if you practice.
So if you share this video, at the very bottom left-hand side of your screen, there's a share button. And when you share it, we know it. When you press that button, it'll prompt you to share it to a friend, to a group list. There's a bunch of artist groups here as well. So when you share, we know it, and your name will be put in the drawing, and perhaps you'll win this original piece with Andy. And I'll tell you one thing. We were gifted a few pieces,
of course,
and we have several pieces of your work, both 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional, in our house. And
you actually have what's called a Misha Shine, a freshwater container.
Yeah,
it was one of two of the last I did in the last kiln firing.
Yeah,
before I stopped.
All right, take us. Where do you want us to go?
I'm going to demonstrate two ways in which to throw. First, like the machine. And then, like the child, with the hope that you will combine both and throw like you. It's important to remember, you'll go, wow, look at all that skill. Let me assure you, I am not special. I'm not. Clay is. And when you can touch it authentically, something special happens. Let's see if it happens.
Yeah.
All right.
And you also teach, right?
Yes, I have taught professionally at universities, community colleges. Most of my career was spent at an independent private high school in St. Louis called the John Burroughs School. A little time at the Sayre School in Lexington. I taught at St. Louis Community College, Bradford College. I was an assistant professor for 2 years. So that, and then my love, nonprofits like Artful Cleveland. Yeah, it's a beautiful place.
And that's where we're at. This is your studio, so you can come here and.
This is Neil James Martin. Please, he's the Meba man, and he is so kind. He's one of the nicest people I've ever met in this business, and he owns this studio inside Artful Cleveland. Hey, everybody out there, put some pressure on the dark forces trying to shut us down. I'm not going to get into that much. Just do your research and make some noise.
It's an important place, right? It's an important place, right?
I serve children, people with cognitive disabilities through the JFSA, Jewish Family Service Association in Cleveland, and Plan Living Assistant Network, the Ohio Arts Council. I just received another grant. We do empty bowls. An empty bowl, fill an empty stomach. More on that later. But check out Neil James. These are his Mebas.
I've seen this work around.
He will be at Chagrin Art Fair and Kane Park. Go see him.
Yeah, we'll need to make sure that we tag this artist so people can check out his work.
Neil
because
James Martin, bring lots of money and lots of smiles.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that shout out. And
are we ready to start?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go. Tuesday at 7. Nothing up my sleeves. Look at that. There are no smoke and mirrors. See that? No strings attached. What you're about to see is learned skill. It is not magic, and if anybody tells you it is, they're lying. It is learned skill. Once you learn the skill, the magic comes when you unlearn it. I'm going to demonstrate that now. The first is how to throw like a machine.
How to throw like a machine. All right, we'll find out what that means.
Well, how to throw a styrofoam cup. You know, when people go to Starbucks, I've noticed, even myself, I like the mochas, and then I'll get one, and as soon as it's empty, it's like, I got to get rid of this cup. I was one of those tasty mocha. I'm like, hey, look at me. I just went to Starbucks. And when it's empty, it's like this. That's sad. So why would you want to make a machine-made form cup that literally no one appreciates? If you're interested in, do me a favor. Don't ever do clay. It's useless. We have 3D. I'm teasing. 3D printers. No. Anyway, I'll show you something. Let me preface that. This is ancient. This has been going on for centuries. And if it wasn't for fire clay, there'd be no cell phone, no device, no internet, or even space travel, because it acts like an electrical conductor. And fire clay is the beginning of modern society. It's in everything. So you're touching the ancients. So you don't, I am centering clay, and the first thing you want to have is good posture. Watch this. I center elbows down. Because when you turn on the wheel, it goes pretty fast. And I put my pedal, guess what? Because it's America, and I can put this up here, and I don't have to worry about going down the highway. I can stay relaxed. Relaxed is not sleeping or dreaming. There's an awareness of being relaxed. Kind of like an athlete before they do the dive. You watch them disappear. And then the dive is executed through that concentration. That's the same thing. That is a relaxed state of mind and body. Because sometimes I'll tell my young students, relax, and then do this. I mean, that looks like they're exhausted. It's not sleeping nor dreaming. It's an acute awareness of being relaxed. The clay has moisture in it. You don't have to wet the wheel. And listen, like raindrops on a rooftop. Raindrops. Because you know what, people? I'm lazy. I'm going to try to get this as centered as I can. Where's the camera? The two gestures are right hand down if you're right-handed. Vertical left, elbows down, press down and in. That's called coning down or inhale. Coning up, push, rise, loosen the pressure. Please, please, please. That's coning up, coning down, coning down. Inhale, exhale. Tide goes in, tide comes out. Day, night, moon, sun, happiness, morning. Right? You need a little moisture, and I'm going to de-thing this. Now watch, the elbows are down, because if they're not, look how fast the wheel goes. I teach teenagers, Mr. Denney, I can't do. Put your elbows down, fool. Put the wheel to the work. Watch. My right hand on top pushes the clay toward the wheel head. This vertical hand equalizes it. Marks my right hand on top and left at the side. There are 3 types of hug. Uncle Joe, he picks you up, squeezes the life out of you. That's the far end extreme. There's the weak hug. Y'all know this. If you have kids, your kids give it to you every time they're hanging out with their family. It's the weakest hug. Then there's the Sunday hug. The Lionel Richie. Easy like Sunday morning. It's that, we've all received it and give it. That's what it feels like. That coning down. What I mean by equal pressure. Everybody can give a good hug. Everyone. Coning up. Watch how my hands move slowly. Loosen the pressure. Go all the way over. It marks my hands just on the side. Down. See the clay go to the wheel head. Equalize. Elbows are down. Easy breathe. Some people say have you ever seen the movie Ghost? It's funny, people come in, they see the movie Ghost, and they think, this creates so much anxiety. You know what I mean? The skill's like, why are you taking this to relax? Do yoga. It's only after a while. Practice makes the master. Next opening, make a butterfly. Land the butterfly. Butterfly wings are up. The wheel pushes you. I press straight down, not out. Watch my fingers go down. Butterfly wings have never left. My elbows never leave my knees. I spread out. That is called opening. Your fingers have very little surface area. Your sponge has a lot. Watch. One more time. The prayer gesture. Inside, outside hand always touching. Sponge has more surface area. You'll notice my inside hand never leaves my outside hand. Clay is at the bottom. I push. See the clay rise. My outside hand rises in my interior hand, and I rise and loosen the pressure. I go. Clay is at the bottom. That's where I go to access my clay. Push, rise, and right now I'm about following through. Loosen the pressure. I go. Clay is at the bottom. I'm now pressing that clay down in the center to compress that clay a little bit. You'll notice that I don't use a lot of water. I was assigned in Japan once to make 1,000 sake cups. I was punished because I used too much water. So Toshi took a sponge, filled it with water, squeezed it out in a small cup. Andy-san, that is your water for the morning. I was like this, like a squeeze it out by the end of the morning, but less is more. Push, rise, loosen. And look at this boring, stupid form. Something you might find at Starbucks, something you could find, I don't know, IKEA. I'll get 4 of these for less than $10. They're worth about that. This is called a rib. And I'm pushing with my interior hand to get rid of any sign of humanity. Notch for rims. Andy-san, at tea ceremony, I don't want bloody lip. Make rims round. Very important in the architecture. Yes. You can see I can knock it off a little center and bring it right back up. So there's like your basic pottery form. Everything is based off this. Oh, one more thing. I lift up and see my face. Let's put some volume in it, round side. Watch how I push into the round side, loosen the pressure as I go. Volume. Ooh, look at that. Teacher made a mistake. Students love that. Mr. Denney, you suck. I go, yeah. I was trained to hold a pencil like this edge, across my tool hand. I'm lazy. The wheel does the work. Pressure on the forefinger. Watch the prayer. I'm so lazy. Wax on. The machine will always do it better than you. It will always do it faster. Always do it cheaper. Don't aspire to be a machine. Aspire to be human. You want to aspire to impeccable craftsmanship that's equally thick all the way through. Clay to trim at the bottom. Roger, that's why they pay me the pennies.
That is.
So when you fail is permitted in my classroom. It is celebrated. And in St. Louis, I don't know if you've ever been there, their sign is something called the Gateway to the West. Being from Cleveland, I never understood it, but now I do since I've returned home. They're literally, I love St. Louis, but it's like, this is the gateway to the West. You're not there yet. Keep going. But in our case, it's a gateway to success. This also dries the clay out evenly. I can recycle this by the end of our time together. I haven't paid for clay. Goes in here. I recycle all the clay no one else uses. It gets stronger over time. Here's the fun part. How to throw like a child. There was probably some point in your life. I remember mine. I was actually in church. And I drew a house. And I said, here's my house. And I think the woman said, and I don't remember saying it meanly, she just said, Andrew, a tree doesn't look like it. And it broke my heart. And in that moment, I agreed with that. I said, I'm not good at it. It was that simple. And I got into sports. Bring that child back. That lady didn't mean it. Right? This is the creative side. How big it is. Machine.
As you're dropping that down, Tony Bianco, who won the the artwork from Judy, says really cool, great instruction, fascinating individual, an artist, true and through. Mags is watching, and she says, "I want to get my hands dirty with clay." And Diane her comment is always inspiring. And there's a bunch of folks watching. We appreciate your time here.
So do I. I'm deeply grateful to all of you.
And again, if you share, there's the opportunity to win some original work from Andy. But take us back. What did you call this?
I showed you, I basically demonstrated how to throw like a machine and how I was technically trained by my master teacher, Marvin. But there are so many different ways to get the same result. So, in fact, I'm going to demonstrate a way that I'd never seen opening by one of my eighth grade students just today. I'd never seen it before. I said, I am going to show this. But watch this. You'll see the bottom clay. We're going to go back. I'm going to go back to the importance of skill. I believe as an educator, the project-based education is important. But I think by the 6th grade, the students, particularly in this modern world, they're done. And they already have an experience with that. They want to explore their feelings, which doesn't always look like the images your camera takes. One of the things I learned in Japan was there's just as much beauty in decay as there is in something brand new. Sometimes a whisper is a scream. Why you gotta say it all the time? A whisper is pretty powerful. This is called throwing off the hump. So I can show you. You don't have to get all the clay actually centered. See, the clay is centered up top, but it's not at the bottom. And so like a functional potter, this is how they would, instead of, you got to make 6 mugs. You have measurement tools here, And so you wouldn't have to get up from the wheel and go get a new ball of clay. You know what I mean? There's an opening. Compressed, but you can see the bottom clay is not centered, but that top mass is. I can make a little mini machine pot. And the reason I say this is sometimes, you just can't go and make a mess and call it art, in my view. I think you have to get some fundamental skills, not only technical skills but also philosophical point of departure. Like you gotta at some point go, this is a mess. So how do I make a beautiful mess? Because that's what's remembered. Oh, and just look in the history books. A little technically tight little vessel, right? This is fun. But I've seen people center with their fists. It's a miracle. Do that. I've seen them do the karate chop. I've seen them do this. They kind of push away from their body and put their hand in front. You see that? It's still getting the clay centered. I can even center clay in one gesture. I can even center with my elbows and forearm. Drink a lot of sake. It's late at night in the studio. You have fun. I can open with my elbow because it's America. And why not?
Now, do you learn that from your Japanese master teacher?
No.
The elbow opening.
This is America.
It's America.
This is punk rock. Walk together, rock together. 7 seconds. That's how we do things. Watch this. This was a new technique. I had showed her this, my student, in terms of this, but she opened like this, drew toward her body. But notice how she held her hand. I can throw with my fingers. I don't need them. And look, I can record my finger marks. Look at that. Look at that.
There's a lot of people watching this. The movement is there's something hypnotic about watching you create this vessel.
Look at that.
Is it hypnotic for you? Watching
Yes.
it spin? Is that
no? But no. But yes, it's like we're pointing at the coin that has two sides. You can't talk about them at the same time. But yes, as I returned, I have begun to reappreciate. But do I think about yes and no? You have muscle memory. You watch a person who's dedicated a lot of time to the guitar and they don't even have to look at their hands. Sometimes this is just instinctual muscle memory. But look at this. Ooh. Okay. Now, I have to give it a little grace. Hit the rim. Lyrical and meaningful. There it is. Yeah, move over here, Roger. I'm going to show you something.
Yeah.
As moisture gets under there, it kind of creates a suction.
While Andy is drying off his hand, if you guys share, you have the opportunity for this vessel and this prayer stone from Andy. So share away. Again, we know when you share and your name will be put in to the drawing next week. And Angela Novak said, hey,
Oh,
Max. Yeah.
Angela, look at y'all. Family. Blessings be upon us all. The architecture of a pot is the foot. The body. The rim. So y'all can see. Oh, Andy-san, you make instant antique. I could not contrive that texture. That's the texture of the wheel. That is nature being nature. So use it. In Japan, in many faiths, 3 is the magic number. That, Roger Miller, is how to play. This is far more interesting to me than, say, the machine-made pot. This piece is leather hard. I'm going to clean my hands and then show you a subtracted method called trimming. And then I guess if anybody has any questions, that would end my demo.
Yeah.
All right. So I made this earlier. The clay gets leather hard and it's perfect for trimming. The subtracted method to make a foot ring.
We are down at Artful Cleveland.
Come support Artful Cleveland and save this place, y'all. Come on. Make some noise. Help us stay here. That is removing a piece. And since the clay is centered, I'm going to use that as a guide because I'm centering this clay upside down on the wheel. Bats fit on the wheel head with these steel pins that go right in the wheel head. So that if you make a masterpiece, you just take off the bat. You don't have to touch it. Oh.
So if you guys have any questions, Donna Scotian is coming in beautiful.
Oh.
And I would agree. And Andy, this pot is interesting.
One funny story. One of the most important lessons. I love this story, and so does my father. My master teacher got really angry with us, with the graduate students, and the undergrads were with us. And every 3 weeks, Rick would give an hour lecture on ceramic history. Now I adored them. In fact, I recorded them all on a little mini thing. So I loved them. It bored most people. And so some graduate students started to complain, like, what's the use? Why are we looking at Menge? Who's this guy named Soji Hamada? Just being jerks. We want to be rock stars now. And so Rick got so mad, he's like, oh, you guys are here in graduate school. You pay a lot of money. You do it. And so he said, like, I'm not doing it, but you got to do it. You're going to be professionals. You're going to have to do this. You're going to have to stand in front of an audience. You do it. You don't like how I do it? Let's see how you do it. Being Marvin's student, I had to go first. So I went first, studied Jomon pottery, the most ancient pottery. I memorized it, whatever, and I gave it, and I was doing by the, like, third. I wasn't even looking at my note cards. I was like, damn, I knew it by the visuals. It's old. I'm doing slides and shit. So at the end, all the grads, Andy, that was great. I thought I set the bar so high. Everybody's like, dude, man. And I was waiting for Rick to praise me. I swear to God. Roger. I go to the office. This is it. He sees me. He goes, now wait, Roger. I'm still standing there. And then he did this. This is how he talks. Andy. Oh, man. Nobody cares about Joe Monpont, your art, God, or the wind or the rain. I'm literally almost about to cry. You know what I mean? Your speech was informative and started wonderfully. I could tell you rehearsed it. But it was so dreadfully boring, I wanted to kill myself. There was no inflection. Drone. It's awful. Andy, what people remember is not that you're the great artist. They don't remember about wind and the gods. They remember if they had a good time. If they have a good time. That lesson is worth all my tuition.
Thank you for passing on that sage advice.
So, well, you do it every week on Tuesday at 7.
I don't
That's
have
why
any
I'm a #1 fan, because you make me want to come back for more.
I don't have any answers, but I do have questions, and there's some questions that are out here as well. But the very latest few comments is Diane says, "Fire that instant antique." Penny, throwing clay is on my bucket list. Very interesting. Penny Lovejoy.
Denney, less talking, more pottery. Diane, thank you. That will probably blow up, but and it's ugly.
Neffy, good thing Andy is good at art and entertaining us too.
Oh, Neffy, big love. We make work together. So I am centering a piece upside down to trim a foot ring. This is a subtractive process. I take 4 balls of clay, I flatten one side, lift the flat side out, and I press down and out. Like I'm Sonny Boy Williams. Blues man, I'm down and out.
It's silent today. Do you work in silence?
Sometimes I don't. Check it out what I got plugged in right here, boy.
So my brother.
Oh, the lonely lover, Gregory Isaacsman. So that's what's in. Oh, I'm also enjoying Snickers later. Oh, so this is the trimming tool. And again, I'm making a subtractive method, and I'm looking for equal distance from here to there. I make a circle on top. The wheel does the work. The first thing I want to do is make that I dip it in the water. Watch. Prayer gesture down. Forefinger on top. I'm lazy. Let the wheel do the work. Just put pressure on the forefinger. Watch the clay be removed. From the center out. Side goes out. Side goes in. Waking moments. Sleeping moments. Wax on. That is nature. You don't have to do anything but be yourself. You are a natural creature of this world and creation. Act like it. This is, you might want to come over here. This is the most challenging. It's going vertical. Watch this. And watch how my inside hand is always touching my outside hand. I let it wheel. And that carves that outside line. Notice how my tool hand wrist is being held. Like this. I like that diameter. Watch this angle. This cup is called a Uromi cup.
For those of you who are just joining, this cup is upside down. You're working on the bottom. Is that correct?
That's correct. I'm using the wheel almost as a woodworker would use a lathe. Remove wood. Hello. That's Bryce. He shares in the studio, and that's his lovely wife. They make wonderful work. You should come check them out. They also offer hand building classes as well. This is the inner line of my foot ring. Watch me go from the center to the outside line. Andy-san, details are always last. If you notice, I worked in the round. In other words, I did here and in here and here. I didn't over focus on one area, allowing the clay to speak a similar or the same visual language. In Japan, they often display the tea bowls upside down. It's actually the signature of the artist. And they turn them upside down. It's supposed to emulate the whisking of the tea in the tea ceremony. So we're going to make that whisking gesture. Okay. Let's see if we succeeded. Cup. 4. That is how you make a vessel. The way of clay. Thank you, Roger, and thank all of you out there.
We appreciate
So we can put these next to each other.
Andy.
The machine and the child. Learn these too. You'll be all right.
Yeah. Whatever questions are out there, please ask them. Even if you're not watching the live, we encourage you to not only share, but to ask those questions following. Because, of course, Andy will be arming the comments, answering those questions, providing maybe some resources. But tell us a little about the firing process, right? Because once you build it, right, we started off talking about that.
Let's take a little tour around the studio.
Yeah, please.
So Neil's studio has everything, and he did this all himself. It's so lovely. This is a firewall, protected wall. This is the safest kiln room I've ever encountered. He has 2 kilns here. These are the kilns. Their own separate breakers, an exhaust system, fire protection walls. But these kilns are so unlikely that they would catch on fire because they're all computerized now. You can go home, you can watch your firing from your stupid computer and drink wine, watch Netflix. You know what I mean? And you could shut it off from home. So it's really, they're so much safer now. The computer's basically fired for you. You can program the rising and lowering. So we're going to move out here. This is a pug mill. It recycles clay. You would put soft clay in here with some firmer clay and just like a Tootsie Roll maker. You push it down. It's a slab roller. A device where you can put clay, you turn the wheel, evenly thick slab, the table moves under the roller. This is Neil's spot. Some Meebas. Come check out Neil at Kane Park and Chagrin. And if you come to Chagrin, please stop by the Valley Arts Center table. I teach there now as well. Valley Arts Center is located in Chagrin Falls. It's a lovely place. And then a wall-mounted extruder. You can literally extrude any shape, form you want, hollow, solid. Like Neil will extrude the tentacles. And they come out perfectly, coils right out of this extruder. I think that's about it. I think I have this. All you spray paint freaks. Look at this, man. I love this thing. I inherited it. And we could use it outside, but hand built, huh? It is an air compressor, an air gun, literally a spray booth on wheels. Come on, Cleveland. Who wants to spray some stuff with me? And it just goes wherever you want it to go. Lovely. We have this too, so you often you can spray glazes. Here are some work I have in publications from earlier. Mastering Raku by Stephen Braffman. Came out, I don't know, 10 years ago. This is a Raku piece of mine. My master teacher, Marvin Sweet, he wrote this book called The I Ching Effect, Echoes of the Chinese Scholar. He had an extensive collection of I Ching teapots from China, which he served tea to me and others. And this is a contemporary survey of his own collection, historical important I Ching teapots, where the teapot was invented. And then contemporary artist interpretation. This is mine. And that's Raku Fire.
Give us raku firing from, for beginners? What's the process like?
It's fun. It's fast. So you make work. It's low fired. So it's not good for, if you want to use it. It's not, unless it's just very temporary, hand wash it. You don't want to use it, cook in it. I would not recommend it. It's too porous. Bacteria, it will kill you. But if you drink alcohol and then it's sitting there and cause bacteria and make you throw up. Eggs, shit like that, anything acidic. So it's good for art. That's way different than Japan. Japan, it's much higher. Japanese raku looks nothing like American. It is nothing like. That's why it should be called something.
Yeah.
And actually, ohiware is rakued with what? Think about that, clay people. Wood. We use tanks, and then you basically get a kiln blanket, insulation material that they insulate, like the space shuttle rocket. The blanket that insulates heat without contracting it. You make a cage. You get clay buttons and pull this blanket around a sphere with a hole in the top and then a spy hole on the side. You build a base. You put a kiln shelf in with air underneath. You hook up an acetylene tank with a burner. It hits the back wall of the kiln, hits the roof, and creates a circular flow of heat right out the top. The first firing is always the longest. May take up to 2 hours afterward. You let the kiln cool. You can put work back in. The clay is designed to take that thermal shock. So, things break, obviously, but if you're careful, it doesn't have to. And then every 6, you can do at least like 6 a day, easy. And depending on your kiln, how many shells you have. And then you take that, you take it up to about 1400 degrees, 1600. And then you shut the heat off. It's really cool. You're outside. You do it inside, you're an idiot. And then you take you lift the hood off, or you have a mechanism that lifts the hood off, and all the wear is glowing. Take tongs. This is Japanese. You go in these kilns and they take the tongs out, and we do in America, which Japanese think is disgusting. We put them in trash cans filled with combustible materials and all sorts of crap. You'd be some banana peels, throw whatever you want. But, you know what I mean? I just use nature, hay, and sawdust. Best results I've ever got. I add chemicals, never works out. Add stupid leaves and things from all over the place, nothing. Hay, sawdust. Then you put in that barrel, and that combustible material catches on fire, and then you close the lid on it. It creates a reduction atmosphere. You take the oxygen out, and then you let it cool. And it cools very quickly. And maybe an hour later, you can open that barrel. And now all this work is cool enough sometimes to touch, or you dunk it quickly in water. It'll be cool enough to touch, and it's covered with all that carbon, all that smoke that was released when it hit that combustible material. It makes the crackle glaze, does flashing. So why I'm drawn to American raku is why I'm drawn to jazz. Hey, we trained. Let's have some fun. All right, we're going to do. These are some of my favorite things. So you can take that out to outer space and then bring it back, and everybody knows. Okay, that's what raku is. So you have to give up any expectations. The expectations of expecting everything and nothing. In Japan, they say ichio, ichie, one moment.
Yeah, a couple things that I want to cover as we're kind of rounding third and kind of finishing up, and that is there's you teach, and we covered that before if you've been watching the entire interview. I know that there's folks here that are like, at some point I'd love to get a class, learn from you.
You know what we should do, Roger? We should. I'm going to pitch it live on TV.
Yeah.
We should have a Roger Miller Tuesday at 7 clay party.
Play party?
You know what I mean?
Let's do it.
And get some folks, line them up. And, you know what I mean?
Let's do it.
Get your lovely bride.
Yeah.
We'll, I think that'd be fun.
I agree.
And it's not, it would just be to play.
Yeah.
I could go wheel to wheel and get, just like and then see if you like it. I mean, that's what I do here. When I do private lessons, I give a free, quick 20-minute how to do that. I love doing it. They're nice. And then that's, remember, they will come back if they had a good time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so if they come back, they had a good time. And I had a good time. If they don't, so be it, you know?
And so thank you. That will absolutely get that on
I just think that'd be fun.
I think it would absolutely be fun.
Throw that and see if it sticks.
Yeah, yeah.
And other people can do other things because I know they're painters. I know what I could do is prepare stuff for them. Like you get Brandon spraying stuff on stuff and doing his thing, and Bob Peck, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Gotti's American cars and stuff. You know what I mean?
That'd be great.
There's so many Magically Morbid could do some. I don't know.
I love it. I love
Spells.
it. Yeah. Let me ask the very last question.
Yeah.
And that last question is your daughter.
Yeah.
Went to Japan, spent 6 months there, kind of, is while blazing her own trail, she also followed, some of that advice that came from you. Tell us a little bit about future generations, both biological as well as just, other artists.
I believe I would say to the young people, us old folks, I don't know about others. I can only speak for myself. I love the young people. I've been around them my entire career. They continue to inspire me. I don't see them as snowflakes and all this other. Look, man, if you're calling young folks snowflakes and all this kind of stuff, you better check yourself. Because that doesn't help, even if it's true. We need to help these young people. And they need to help us. And so I say to the young people, do your thing. If you're a freak geek, I'd say go on and do it because you're unique. I really don't sit around. No one's going to come. Inspiration isn't going to come. You'll be waiting your entire life. Go out and seek it out, and it arrives. Young people provide me so much humor, humility. I plan to stay a believer in these young people. And that's why I love Art for Cleveland. Make some noise, people.
Yeah. Thank you for
save this place.
Thank you for your wise
and
words.
That's related to my daughter, by the way.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, because Jenna grew up with me doing these summer camps and doing my 3-part trilogy. The story of tea inside the Japanese, and then the sales of teas. It's a 3-part trilogy that I teach my students.
We're going to keep an eye on you, Andy, and what you're doing, and we're going to, at some point, we're going to do a Tuesday night that plays the way, right?
Yeah.
We appreciate your time, your knowledge, and
hey, everybody, give it up for Roger Miller. He's the cat.
See you guys next week.